This is Cosmic News. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, the history of mankind. Everything you've been told is pure fabrication. The real facts, the true history of mankind, from the secret space program, the landings on the moon and Mars, to alien contact and the imminent arrival of Planet X Nibiru. The powerful controlling elites from all corners of our planet treat you all like kids. They believe we are all worthless meat eaters, that they plan to kill as many of us as they can before the arrival of the system Nibiru. While they, the chosen ones, ride out this coming destructive event, either here on Earth in their underground bunkers or their bunkers they have built under the planet Mars and the lunar surface, while you, the people, will be left to fend for yourselves, or more than likely die trying to survive this horrific event. Okay, into what the corrupt controlling elite are keeping from you, the people. This first report is a Cosmic News presentation. Cosmic News brings you more outstanding information of how the global political elite are lying and keeping the real truth from the people of planet Earth. From the early days of the secret space program, the United States, Russia, and Germany have been working together as allies in one of the most secret black projects of all times. From the dark days of the Cold War, the United States and Russia have been involved in setting up bases on the lunar surface and the planet Mars. They have very advanced technology that is thousands of years more advanced than the public technology. They possess advanced spacecrafts that can travel the speed of light. These anti-gravity flying saucer crafts are being mistaken for a lot of the UFO sightings that are occurring today. The reported sightings of UFOs come into three categories. 1. The secret space program crafts. 2. The hollow earth flying saucer crafts. And 3. Alien UFOs. Everything you have been told about history is a lie. Your leaders are taking you all for a ride. They treat you like kids and keep you happy by releasing little bits of advanced technology. But all the time, these criminals that run our planet are plotting to kill as many of us as they can by creating pandemic-causing viruses such as Ebola. And they are now in their final plans of creating a controlled global war that will be centered on highly populated regions of our planet. The United States and Western powers, as well as the Eastern Bloc, Russia and China, are in on this horrendous plot that will be unleashed very soon. The corrupt elite and their alien backers are also hell-bent on keeping the most highly secretive arrival of Planet X Nibiru from the people of our planet, while instigating their own survival plans, which have been going on for decades. Their network of underground survival bunkers, not just on this planet, but also on Mars and the Moon. Their plan was to relocate to these bunkers once Nibiru neared Earth and caused a massive destructive event. They hoped that their bunkers, especially under the United States, would sustain them once the event unfolded. But they had to have a backup plan in case their bunkers here on Earth were destroyed once the global flooding and massive Earth changes took place. So they undertook a highly expensive building program under the surface of planet Mars and the lunar surface. Cosmic News. Okay, the following extracts originate from disclose.tv and bibliotecapleiades.net, titled, Was There a Real Alternative 3? This is a summary of a lecture given by US Captain Bill Robertson in Germany, 1990, transcribed from a video. In the 1960s, a British independent television crew investigated what happened to many top UK scientists, businesses, and military people who disappeared. While they had left the country, they sent postcards and letters just once and then have never been heard from again. Some of the postcards and letters sent were exactly the same, like they'd been ordered to do it. The first program made several people write in and say they knew more about this. An astronomy professor in England said that he had recorded on one of his radio telescopes a report coming from an American spaceship before they had officially sent anything up. And he knew it was a NASA Space Agency recording because of its code. He did not have a recorder, but the television station found someone with one and they arranged to meet. He mailed it first but was killed en route in his car. He was mysteriously burnt all the way to his bones as if it was done by a high intensity laser or similar. The second program covered this. It was in the British newspapers. Other people revealed that together America and Russia were establishing bases on the moon and Mars with these people before Sputnik and spacecrafts. However, they were ordered to say it was all a hoax and to fire the reporters working on this or they'd lose their license. But they'd showed the professor's tape of the Mars landing on May 22, 1962 on the television before it was cut off the air and before they were threatened with closing the license of the program. People were, and the people who worked on it, fired. The tape of the Mars landing. The interference with the radio transmission frequency on the tape was caused by a high intensity electromagnetic field, as in a UFO. The Americans used the UFO to get there, Robertson says. A man in the audience said that he was a technical person in Scientology, the Sea Org dot. He had degrees in mathematics and physics and civil engineering, docks, airports, railroads, buildings. He had a NASA scholarship to be in a space structures organization to build space platforms and spaceships for the American government. He noticed the next year's students had disappeared, so he got out of it. He read the Alternative 3 book by Leslie Watkins and knew that they were taken away, working somewhere else. Robertson spoke of more than one group of extraterrestrials interested in this planet, who had mostly peaceful intentions to develop relations with this planet. But we were to dispose of atomic, biological, and chemical weapons. A lecture given by US Captain Bill Robertson in Germany, 1990, transcribed from a video. How many of you have heard about or read about a thing called Alternative 3? For those of you who haven't, I'll just give you a short summary. A British independent television crew were investigating what happened to many scientists and military people in the 1960s, because these people seemed to disappear from England, and everyone thought they had gone to make money in other countries. They were intellectual people, scientists, business, top military people, and so on. So they were going to do a program about this to explain why can't Britain keep up with the rest of the world? Why don't they pay these people to stay here and work with us? And so on. And in the investigation, they came across very interesting data. They referred to this as the brain drain. In other words, brains going down the drain in England. They were going somewhere else. The smart people going away, you know. And they did the investigations of the friends and relatives of these people. And the funny thing about it is, they only heard from them one time. And they never heard from them again. And some of the postcards and letters they were sent were exactly the same. The pictures and everything. And the way they wrote it was exactly the same. almost as if they were ordered to do it, and then they had gone completely out of communication. Further investigations, when they put on the first program about this, several people saw it that wrote to the station and said, "We know more about this." One of them was a scientist at the observatory in England who said that he had recorded from an American spaceship on one of his radio telescopes a report coming from an American spaceship in the days before the Americans had sent anybody up, and he knew it was a NASA space agency recording because it had certain codes, a bip 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 to it, but he did not have a decoder. But the television station investigated all this, and they found another guy who had a decoder and brought the two together. Now, during the bringing, the professor of astronomy, was going to drive it to London, but he thought maybe something might happen, so he mailed it in a package, and then he drove. So he wouldn't be rushing, he drove slowly, but he was killed on the way, a very strange accident. He was found in his car down the side of the road, and he was burnt all the way to his bones, as if it was done by a high-intensity laser or something. It could not have been done by a car, just crashing and burning petrol, and this remained part of the mystery in the second program they gave. Now this was all true, and it was all recorded in the British newspapers. And then there was other people that gave stories that the governments of America and Russia were working together to establish bases on the moon and Mars, and that's why they needed all these people. And this was done in the days before Sputnik and spacecraft, and so by that time the station was in the problem of almost appearing to be putting out a science fiction movie. And there were supposed to be investigative reporters of facts, you see, so they were told to admit to the public that these programs were all a hoax, or they'd lose their license, and that they must fire the reporters who were working on it. This is essentially, the book was then written by the two reporters, or three reporters that were fired. Okay, now that's how the Alternative 3 book came about. Now you understand that that was the Alternative 3 idea. The three alternatives mentioned by the book had to do with some of the data they found to apparently explain why the Russians and Americans would do this. They said that a climatic catastrophe was coming upon the planet, you know, the carbon dioxide, the ozone, and that they only had three possibilities: go underground, live underground, do something drastic with the atmosphere, like with nuclear weapons or something, war, and set up bases, or set up bases on other planets, for just the top people, of course. That's what they explain it with. Now you are going to see the real explanation of Alternative 3, because that itself was a cover scenario. Are you ready? Good. They showed this on the television before it was cut off the air, and before they were threatened of the actual. What was on that tape? And you are going to see it, and are going to see and analyse what it really means. This is the supposed landing on Mars in 1962 by the Americans. Now the thing he said at the last, he says, boy, when they take the wraps off this, it'll be the biggest day in history. The 22nd of May, 1962, we're on Mars, and we have life. Now we're gonna watch this. I'll show you something interesting. Okay, let's pause. All right, here we go. Look, let's first of all examine the possibility that this was made in Hollywood. If they did make it in Hollywood, what would be the point of making it so secret that they had to kill people to keep it from being known? Why would they keep it a secret if they made it in Hollywood? They would want everyone to know about it and say, look, we landed on Mars, and they never said that. So what would they want it for as a fake, and how could this professor have recorded it coming from outer space? So let's take their word for it. It is true. They did kill enough people. They threatened the television station with closure. They did fire the people who worked on it. And when the book came out, they banned it in America. So knowing all those indicators of a secret conspiracy going on, let's take it as a true tape, but let's analyze it as to what is the real truth. Look at that porthole they are taking the pictures out of. That is not from an Earth-type spacecraft. That has a square, curved outer hull surface, and it's very thin, as you can see. There's no bolts, you understand, and all that stuff they have on American and Russian spacecrafts. Right, it's very big. You remember the first spaceships that went up? They had little tiny holes in them, like that, with bolts, like on a ship. That's the first point I want you to see. Now I want you to see something else here. Stand by to scan. That's what he said. Now watch this. Watch what happens to the picture. See how slowly it's moving. America and Russia never had any spaceships that are landing on the moon, landing on any other planet that could slow down and do this. Watch this. The ship is rotating slowly. Then it stops. Stand by to move on. Watch. See there. Now they're back on the landing pattern. If you analyze this from an aeronautical point of view, you have the ship coming in. All of a sudden it stops, rotates around like this. Stand by to go ahead, resume, landing. Does that remind you of anything? It reminds you of the stories of flying saucers. They go, they stop, they move around a little bit, and then they go on. Okay, we go on with the analysis. Every time they change mode, there's interference on the transmissions, or they've stopped the transmissions and started it again. This interference with any radio transmission frequency is caused by a high-intensity electromagnetic field. Also, this is in the story of UFO reports where people's car radios stop and the pilots, their compass goes around like this. There are also stories written how, obviously, UFOs are controlled by high-intensity electromagnetic fields. And if you are broadcasting from there back to Earth, you would expect the broadcast to be interfered with every time they had to change the controls, altitude or path of the flying saucer. And it does. And now watch again. Now look how slowly it's going. Temperature 4 degrees Celsius, 21 km H wind, 707.7 MB air pressure, 760 is normal. No, 1013 MB. This is only 7/10 as much as Earth. Okay, next I want you to observe this place they're coming towards. You didn't notice that, did you? There's a tower, like a control tower, and there are 1, 2, 3 pads to land on, but they're only round ones, and they look like they're 100 or so feet in diameter, 30 to 40 meters or more, 1, 2, 3, and they're round. Now, could you land there if you have never been there before? Could they have built a landing base if they have never been there before? Now watch this. When they land, they get to static again because they have to put in the electromagnetic field. So you don't see them actually landing there, but you can believe that they're going to land on this one or one of these. Right, watch that closely. You see that? There it is. There it comes. Stand by for landing. Let's do it again so you can see it. There are 1, 2, and 3. There's the building. Now, they are obviously sitting on one of the pads, looking out away from the building. And now they see the brown very closely. Americans, some kind of mole. A mole. Okay, now, what the cover-up was, what the secret of Alternative 3 was, which is still a secret, is that the Americans did get to Mars in 1962, but they didn't make the ship. That was an alien flying saucer. You want to see it again? This is the big secret. That's what they didn't want you to know. They were just passengers. Imagine it, on a flying saucer. Now, who are these people that took them? And what connection do they have with the American government? And what connection do they have with this planet? And why is it all a secret? To view the full transcript, go to my website, endtimes23.com, where I've posted the link. There's a live link to my website near the end of this video. I'd like to add a few corrections to the report I've just read that originated from disclose.tv. First, Alternative 3 was a real event. There were many people who tried to get this info out to the general public who lost their lives. The craft that landed on Mars was a prototype secret space program craft that was built at a top secret location in the United States with the help of scientists from Germany who had experience in this field in their work on anti-gravity crafts during the Second World War. I believe the technology that was used to build this craft came from three sources. One, reverse engineered from crashed grey alien flying saucer crafts. Two, the German saucer program. And three, technology the grey aliens supplied to the United States as part of their agreements that they signed with President Eisenhower in the 1950s. Alternative 3 was activated after the grey aliens showed the United States leadership through their looking glass technology future events. The main events they were shown was an apocalyptic event that would unfold in the near future due to a massive planetary body coming close to the Earth that would cause a geological pole shift. Once the United States leadership saw this future destructive event, plans were drawn up to save as many of the elite and people needed to rebuild a future society. The Russians, Germans and other countries around our planet were informed of this future event and became partners in planning survival bases on and off planet Earth. The saucer that landed on Mars in the 60s was piloted by a German pilot and was a prototype saucer of the secret space program. Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to End Times 23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. If you'd like to drop me a line on my blog, by all means do so. Or if you'd like to join one of my circles in Google+, the links are under this video. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. There's a live link near the end of this video. Well, that's your lot for this week, my friends. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you in a week's time with another edition of Informer News. So until then, this is your Informer signing off, friends. I'll see you on the flip side. They possess advanced spacecrafts that can travel the speed of light. These anti-gravity flying saucer crafts are being mistaken for a lot of the UFO sightings that are occurring today. The reported sightings of UFOs come into three categories. 1. The secret space program crafts. 2. The hollow earth flying saucer crafts. And 3. Alien UFOs. Everything you have been told about history is a lie. Your leaders are taking you all for a ride. They treat you like kids, and keep you happy by releasing little bits of advanced technology. But all the time, these criminals that run our planet are plotting to kill as many of us as they can by creating pandemic-causing viruses such as Ebola. And they are now in their final plans of creating a controlled global war that will be centered on highly populated regions of our planet. The United States and Western powers, as well as the Eastern Bloc, Russia and China, are in on this horrendous plot that will be unleashed very soon. The corrupt elite and their alien backers are also hell-bent on keeping the most highly secretive arrival of Planet X Nibiru from the people of our planet, while instigating their own survival plans. This first report is a Cosmic News presentation. Cosmic News brings you more outstanding information of how the global political elite are lying and keeping the real truth from the people of planet Earth. From the early days of the secret space program, the United States, Russia and Germany have been working together as allies in one of the most secret black projects of all times. From the dark days of the Cold War, the United States and Russia have been involved in setting up bases on the lunar surface and the planet Mars. They have very advanced technology that is thousands of years more advanced than the public technology. This is Cosmic News. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, the history of mankind. Everything you've been told is pure fabrication. The real facts, the true history of mankind, from the secret space program, the landings on the moon and Mars, to alien contact and the imminent arrival of Planet X Nibiru. The powerful controlling elites from all corners of our planet treat you all like kids. They believe we are all worthless meat eaters, that they plan to kill as many of us as they can before the arrival of the system Nibiru. While they, the chosen ones, ride out this coming destructive event, either here on Earth in their underground bunkers or their bunkers they have built under the planet Mars and the lunar surface, while you, the people, will be left to fend for yourselves, or more than likely die trying to survive this horrific event. Okay, into what the corrupt controlling elite are keeping from you, the people.